I yeah. Um, Brace yourselves. Let's get into this. Dolphins fans, thank you for coming and checking out the channel. I know that right now is not a good time to be a Dolphins fan, but in reality, has it really been great to be a Dolphins fan the last 20, 25 years? No, not really. I'm going to say some things. We're going to talk a little bit about the game. I'm not going to get into the stats too much. The stats are out there. You can look on Google and see them smacking you across the face very easily if you want to. But I said that I would not talk about anything that has to do with not football, while we still had a chance at being in the postseason. After today, with that 20-12 loss to the Houston Texans, we are not going to be making the playoffs. It would take an absolute miracle for that to happen. It's not going to happen. I don't think we're even going to win the last 3 games of the season. So, with that, I want to say, ladies and gentlemen, I'm a Miami Dolphins fan. I love the Dolphins. I have from a very, very young age. In fact, since before I can remember being alive, I've been a Dolphins fan. This team, and the way it was built, and the way it is, cannot win. Might be able to pull 10, 11 wins out of the season. Not this season, but might be able to do that. But it's not built for playoffs. It's not built for must wins. It's not built for clutch play. In this game, it was the offense's inability to adjust, the offense's inability to play football. Our offensive line was absolutely horrible, to the point where I was wondering if this was a SEAL team or my phone's making noise. A SEAL team or a college football team playing against a professional football team. Our offense was trash. Our offensive line was trash. Could not protect even on a basic rush of 3 from the Texans. So, as an ex-offensive lineman, watching a game like this was horrible to see. Do I think I could do better? Yes. Yes, I do. I think that me, 42 years old, pretty out of shape compared to what I used to be in when I played football in college, I think that I could have done a comparable job to what they did today on the field. Our offensive line. Liam Eichenberg was garbage. Carman was garbage. There's one player on our offensive line that did decent, and that was Aaron Brewer. That was it, our center. Everybody else was trash. Some people would say that it wasn't as bad as that, but it was. It was bad. Offensive line could not hold a block, could not make a block, could not get off the line of scrimmage. Offensive line was garbage. When that happens, you're not going to have much success. But rushing game was trash. Absolute garbage. Raheem Mostert could not do anything. Achane did a little bit, but couldn't really do anything in the run game for sure. The only thing Achane could do was take flat passes. And whatever, I'm actually not talking trash about Devon Achane, Jonnu Smith, and, that's about it on offense. And Aaron Brewer. So other than that, our entire offense was trash. Couldn't do anything. Absolutely horrible. Um, very, very, very embarrassed to have sat there and watched that game. I did have to go back and watch the game. I was at church this morning. I teach Sunday school, so I had other things that I had to do this morning while the game was going on. I basically just disconnected from the game itself until I got back home and was able to watch it. I should have, probably just not watched it. But I did. And so that's what I noticed right off the bat. Our offense was garbage. And I'll talk about defense here really quick. I'm not, you know what? Yeah, I'm not going to hold anything against our defense. Held them to 150 yards passing. Held them to 60-something yards rushing. Defense played well, especially considering our defense was constantly being given incredibly short fields to work with because our offense decided it was a good night, a good morning to have 3 interceptions and a fumble. You can't expect a defense to do as well as the Dolphins' defense did in this game, considering that happened. 3 picks and a fumble. 3 picks and a fumble. Whose fault was that? That was on Tua Tagovailoa. Now, I know that I am not a Tua hater. I'm also not a Tua lover. I've said 1,000 times over that I did not think that we should be putting him into that contract this year. I really wanted us to play him on his 5th year, on his previous contract. I thought that was the way to go. However, they did sign the contract. Tua played. And like I said from the beginning of the season, when Tua plays well, I'm going to give him his flowers. When he does things right, I'm giving him his flowers. But also on that same token, on the opposite side of the token, when he plays like absolute piss, I'm going to say that too. This game, Tua played like absolute piss. Trash. This was the game. A must-win. Away game. Against a good team. This is where he needed to step up because that's what our team needed. Couldn't do it. Couldn't do it. Tua played like garbage, and he's one of the big reasons we lost this game. One of the big reasons, if not the biggest reason that we lost this game. Tua Tagovailoa. So all you Tua haters out there, you can be happy. Unless you're a fan of the team and you're actually embarrassed like I am, like I said, I'll call it out. He played like trash. But I didn't want that to happen. And I'm certainly not going to go out there and be like, oh, I told you that he was going to do this. I'm not happy about it. So I'm not going to gloat about him having no success today. It was a bad game by our offense. Our offensive coaching was abysmal. Mike McDaniel called a terrible game. The plays were bad. His management of the time was bad. His management of timeouts was bad. Just a terrible game by Mike McDaniel. And like I said, just like with Tua and any other player on the team, when they do well, I'm going to acknowledge it. And for the last 5, 6, 7 weeks, I have acknowledged that Mike McDaniel had grown and was doing well calling games, managing the time clock, managing timeouts. He was doing much better. And then this game happened, the one that we needed it the most. And right alongside of almost the whole offense, Mike McDaniel collapsed too. Just faded into non-existence and unimportance. So, this game is 100% on our offense. Our coaching staff for the offense and our players. Our offense lost this game. Our defense, I can't hold it against them. I mean, they could have done a few things better here and there. Made a couple of tackles that they missed. They missed a couple tackles. I'm still not going to hold this against the defense. They did well. Don't believe me? Go look at the stats. Go watch the game again. Just watch the defensive plays. Our defense did well. especially considering where the Houston Texans offense got the ball every possession that they had. Unreal. Gotta breathe. Frustrated. I am an optimist. However, this season, it's over. Now with that, this is where we shift gears into evaluation time. There's not going to be playoffs, and if by some strange stretch or some massive miracle that the Dolphins made the playoffs, because technically they're not 100% eliminated, but they're not going to make it. But if they did, they're just going to play like they played today. Why is that? This is the trickle-up effect. Now, you've heard of the trickle-down effect, where one thing at the top affects things going down the bottom. This is the exact opposite of that situation. This is the trickle-up effect, where our general manager has done such a piss-poor job putting this team together. He's been with the team for a long time. But I'm just going to focus on these last 10 years. He's done a piss-poor job. Terrible job. And if you didn't think that Chris Grier needed to be fired before, after this game, please tell me that you're on our side of the fence now. Tell me that every single one of you wants Chris Grier fired, because it's so obvious that that's the first step to fixing all of this. We need a new GM in the building now. Chris Grier needs to be fired before the night is over. And we need a new GM. I don't even care who it is. Anything is better than what he has done. He may have hit on a few draft picks, but it ain't enough. He doesn't communicate with people below him, his coaching staff. He does not communicate. He doesn't take their advice. He doesn't take what they think into account. He just does what he thinks he wants to do and what he thinks is going to be best. Well, what he thinks is best is not best. It's wrong. Chris Grier needs to go. Get a new guy in this week. Start evaluating. Evaluate every single player from the top to the bottom, offense and defense, every single player, regardless of contract, regardless of standing, regardless of position. All of them. All the coaches, everyone. And then begin to dismantle. Near the end of the season, probably shortly after the season is over, I'm going to make a video on kick or keep. 2 categories. Every coach and every player is going to go into one of those 2 categories. And I'll have every single player and coach in those categories, and we'll be able to start talking about it and looking at it. And I hope and I pray that our team is doing the same thing. And I hope and I pray that Chris Grier is not a part of it. We have one of the best drafts that we've had in a long time coming up. We have a lot of draft picks. A lot of things could be fixed and righted with a new GM, with a new attitude, and a new mindset coming into this draft. We let some players go, even if that means we take a hit here and there. Do the cuts when they need to happen. Let people go when we need to let them go, and we'll be back up out well above the cap. Or below it, I guess is the way to say it. We'll have room to fix some of this stuff. Are we going to be able to fix everything in 1 year? Probably not. But there's a definite way and a clear path forward to begin improvement on this and stop the same stuff that happens every single year. We lose the big games. We lose the big games. We cannot win when we need to win. Dolphins fans, you deserve better than this. I've said it multiple times, and I still mean it. You deserve better. We deserve better. Stephen Ross, I don't care what some people say. Stephen Ross is the owner that you want. The guy who's not afraid to cut the check. The guy who's willing to pay the money that needs to be paid. And the guy that stays out, for the most part, out of operations. That's not very common. So to have an owner like that is a good thing. But he's put his trust in Chris Grier, and it can't be there. If Chris Grier is not fired this year, if Chris Grier is not fired, that tells me that Chris Grier has some bribe or some kind of information on Stephen Ross that's just giving him complete and utter control when he shouldn't even be here. Man, that was embarrassing. And I always pick, the Dolphins to win. I always do. I'm a fan. I'm going to do that. I'm going to pick my team to win every game. I know that they're not going to. Like I said before, I did not think that we were going to win all of our games left. I didn't think that we were honestly going to make the playoffs. But I said that I was going to treat it like that so that I could, evaluate these games and stuff like that. And that's what I did. But we didn't win every game. We lost to the Houston Texans today, effectively ending our season. Now we need to move on. Some strings need to be pulled, and some strings need to be cut. Let's see what happens. We have a few games left. We have 3 games left. We have the 49ers next week. Then we have the Cleveland Browns, and then the New York Jets. 1 game is home next week, and the last 2 games are away. We could very well win all 3 of those games. We probably won't. The way that team played today, we'll lose all 3. So we'll see. I think that there's definite room for improvement, obviously. But I'm not going to start talking about what we need to do from player positions, like what do we do about quarterback, what do we do about second string quarterback. I'm not going to really talk about that till the end of the season. I'm going to continue to cover these last 3 games, just like any other game. Talk about who I think is going to win, by how much, what the keys to victory are, and all these things. I'm going to continue to do that. And I appreciate each and every one of you who come in here and watch this channel and watch my videos. It's greatly appreciated, especially in a season like this where it hasn't been easy, has it, guys and gals? It's been rough. But we'll see what happens here. I want everybody to enjoy their Sunday. I want you guys to not let this ruin your day. Try to avoid getting on Twitter and Facebook and spouting off a bunch of stuff. Try to keep it classy, like Dudley Do-Wrong always says. Stay classy. Don't worry, I'm not going to steal that. I can't even say that right now. I feel not classy. But I'm going to get to work at looking at this All 22 as soon as it comes out, and I'm going to watch some other football games tonight and relax with my family. I encourage each and every one of you to do the same. Hopefully they figure this out. The solutions are very clear. We'll see if they actually have the balls to do it. All right, everybody, enjoy your Sunday. Thanks for stopping and checking out the channel. Like and subscribe if you can. And I'll put another video out here in a couple days. All right, fins up. Peace. Stay up.